Going on, authors, publishers, designers? Matt Stone from 100 Covers, here to talk about what ethical publishing is. As you can imagine, with Buck Books and 100 Covers, just being in the game a long time since the early days of Kindle, I've just stumbled across a lot of people following unethical practices, wanting my help and my services. You can see on the Buck Books promotion page, this is getting redesigned, so don't judge. And this is super old. But I said we want our subscribers to always feel like they're getting a lot of value, blah, blah, blah. So go pro or go somewhere else. We don't want slop or Kindle scammers trying to hack a profit, churning out unoriginal bleh. We want high-quality authors doing things the right way. You do that and Buck will have your back every time you need to launch a book with a bang. So it's just been a long time that I've been battling off who I consider to be scammers. Now, there's a huge gray area in Kindle publishing, but I've decided to draw the line about what is and is not ethical. I draw it mostly around originality, right? There's got to be something unique and original about your book, and if there isn't, then you are just basically copying someone else's success and trying to get a slice of it for your own. And what most people do, this is really just not up for debate, but what most people do is they discover a book that is selling really well. This book is Raised Bed Gardening for Beginners, everything you need to know to start and sustain a thriving garden. This book has been really successful. It sells well in all those formats. It's ranked 1,000 and something in the Kindle store. In fact, we can go take a look if you like. We can go down and look at its ranking. Well, it's not as high as it was the other day, but it's 3,300. And in paperback, it's probably selling quite a few copies as a paperback as well. Scrolling. 653 in books. So it's killing it. I mean, we're talking about a book that's just making a tremendous amount of money. And so, this is a fine example of a book that's having great success. And when that happens, it sort of gets poached upon by the Kindle vultures. Okay, the Kindle vultures, how do you know if you're a vulture? Well, you're a vulture if you're going to come in, identify this book as a strong seller, and then copy the exact same title, right? Copyright laws are really lax with books, and most titles are not, trademarked or, under kind of any copyright protection. So under the law, you can word for word copy somebody's book and then go in and try to publish your version to try to get a piece of the action here, right? And, obviously that's just not, that's really low on the spectrum of what is and is not ethical. At 100 Covers, we don't mind making book covers for just about anybody, but we don't want to partake in something this blatantly distasteful, okay? So we hate to see people going and copying the title exactly without offering anything unique. Okay, how could you, I mean, it's smart to do research, right? It's smart to get in there and find out what's selling, find out what customers want, and then try to create something that customers will like. Maybe try to create something new and unique and differentiated, right? This is Raised Bed Gardening for Beginners. Maybe your book is just called Building Raised Beds, and you write a whole book just focused on the construction of the raised bed. Maybe it's Raised Bed Gardening with recycled materials. Maybe it's Raised Bed Gardening in desert climates, right? Raised Bed Gardening in the city. There's lots of different things that you can do to be a unique book. You want to be unique. You do not want to just write Raised Bed Gardening for Beginners. And this book, published July 9th, 2019, the number of books published under this title before this, maybe a couple. After this date, once this book starts having tremendous success, now people are publishing a book with this title every week. And what alerted me to this and what created a stir and created the inspiration for making this video was we had, within a 3.5 week period, we had 2 people come and order a book with the exact same title, Raised Bed Gardening for Beginners. And they also used Thriving Garden in their subtitle even. It was that blatant of a plagiarization of the title, if you will. I'm sure the content on the inside was different somehow, but, just going and paraphrasing something, getting a bunch of stuff off the internet and kind of putting together what is kind of a weaker version of this and just hoping to get a piece of those sales, that's really, a knockoff strategy, right? It's like selling, yes, a fake Rolex will tell the time, but it's not as good as the real thing. And trying to fake and pretend that you're the real thing when you're really just cheap crap is just a really bad strategy. So I encourage anybody who's doing this kind of practice. I made a video and later took it down, which was basically, reaming these type of authors a new asshole. Instead of doing that, it's much more constructive to talk about what ethical publishing is and help people do more of that and less of this. So hopefully just the title idea alone will give you at least some idea of how you could make it more unique. So we'll scroll through here. It's pretty, you can start to see, the knockoffs, right? Raised Bed Gardening for Beginners, right? Again, published March 23rd, 2020. This is a little bit more unique. It's Raised Bed Gardening, a beginner's guide, but it's still pretty much the same thing, right? This was an older one that was done well. This is a professionally published book that didn't have that much success. There's our buddy again, the one that is the root source of why there's so much copycatting and knockoff attempts there. But as we scroll down further, you'll see a lot more. Raised Bed Gardening, Raised Beds for Beginners. Again, it's just an attempt to make basically an insignificant alteration to the title and then slap up, what obviously is a piece of shit. And then hoping to get some of those sales. Ultimate Raised Bed Garden. This is an older one that was actually a real effort, seems like. Raised Bed Gardening for Beginners. Again, look at that, Thriving Garden. Isn't that crazy how everybody wants to put Thriving Garden? There's a Thriving Organic Vegetable Garden. Okay, we're still on the first page. It goes downhill from here. You just see so much more. You start to see awkwardly worded subtitles that are clearly just keyword stuffing. Okay, now, I mean, first of all, it's just in poor taste to just go and try to publish a book under the exact same name. Like, I just don't. That's obviously a sleazy thing to do to begin with, but it's also not effective. I mean, now you're competing against like 30, 40, 50 versions of Raised Bed Gardening for Beginners. The pie is not that big, guys. There's your Thriving Organic Vegetable Garden. I love the period on the subtitle. That's a nice amateur touch. Raised Bed Gardening for Beginners. Okay, this one's a little bit unique in an urban context. Okay, at least it's trying to be something, but I would still call it urban gardening, urban raised bed gardening. I don't know, just trying to go look at the books that are out there and try to create a title that's unique. I mean, start there at the very least. Raised Bed Gardening. As you can see, there it is again. Super long subtitle with a period in it. Raised Bed Gardening, a beginner's guide. I love, too, the improper capitalization on titles. That's always a good look. That's a good look that you're a real seasoned professional when your capitalization is off. You got periods in your subtitle. Raised Bed Gardening. Raised Bed Gardening for Beginners. See that word sustain a lot in there as well. But anyway, we could go down this for days and days and days and days and days. And Yeah, there's going to be a couple of people who get in early that make a book that's decent enough to get some sales and some early reviews that maybe they do get to share in the success of the original success. I'm not saying that book is that we're referring to is the original raised bed gardening for beginners, but it's the first book titled that had success. I'm not saying that nobody is making money, but you don't want to be late to the party here, and you don't want to even be going to that party. You want to start your own party. There's another one. It's sustainable, baby. Raised bed gardening for beginners. Oh, that's beauty. I like the throwback 3D. That's tight. Raised bed gardening. There's your thriving organic garden. Raised bed gardening for beginners. You guys getting bored yet? I mean, it's exhausting. I mean, we could go, we're just at the tip of the iceberg here, guys. There's so many books called Raised Bed Gardening for Beginners. And as you can see, the vast majority of those books are not successful. So don't even bother trying to publish a book under that name. Do your research and try to create something that's unique, okay? Give yourself a chance to actually become a new trendsetter and carve out a new micro niche within a niche that is obviously big, okay? So go find your niche. Go find your successful niche. That is really important to do that. We encourage that. Look through the categories. See what's selling. Look at the titles. Look at the way the book covers look, okay? Look at the images they use, the colors they use. All the things that we recommend doing with book covers, right? You want to find and identify what people want and what is successful, but don't copy it nearly exactly. Do something that's similar but unique. We're never going to, we're not going to make you a book cover that looks exactly like the original, right? We ask for similar looks to base the design on, and we'll create a similar look to this. But we don't want to create a book that looks exactly the same as this, and then on top of that, title it the exact same. That's where you've gone beyond the point of what should be considered ethical. And there's already a tremendous amount of leeway. I mean, the fact that you can publish books that somebody else wrote under your name or a fake name, you're already dealing with one of the most, ethically open and easy industries. So you don't need to go and exploit that and push the limit of what is ethical. Not only are you not going to be successful, but you're going to have people like me on the internet, not wanting to help you out and maybe coming and talking about your book on public videos saying you're a douchebag. So I don't think you want any of that. There's no harm in just doing things the right way, coming up with your own unique idea, your own unique take and spin on a blend of ideas that come together after seeing what's successful out there, right? Use what's successful to give you ideas, but don't just be a copycat. That's not okay. That's where I draw the line. We're not going to help you out with your cover. We're not going to promote your book if you've overstepped the line. So anyway, that's a better way to go about publishing. You're really keeping the integrity of the sacred art of publishing, the sacred trade of authorship. You're having respect for it, and you're maintaining that high level of integrity that existed in this industry up until the dawn of the ebook, where everything went to shit. but there's we can do better. We can encourage others to do better, and I hope that this video does that, and hopefully explains a little bit better my position and where I draw the line, who I'm willing to help and who I'm not willing to help. All right, peace.